Hey there everyone, let's get right into it. So we're going to be starting a short video series all about the log press. Main focus is going to be discussing the various positions that are relevant in it. And in this first one, we're going to be talking about your pick and lap phase, because how you start is usually a good indicator of how you finish. Now, as far as the positions themselves go, you can think of it as 3 distinct phases or 6 total positions. There is the pick and lap phase, the clean and rack phase, and then the dip and press or jerk phase. Regardless of which way you want to split it up, these 6 key elements across 3 phases are going to be determining your success when it comes to the log lift. Now, when it comes to the pick and lap phase of the log, some of the most common technique areas you're going to see here are rowing the log into the lap, folding over once the log is lapped, letting the log drift forward and getting away from your center line, and then just a sloppy overall lap position. With all of these technique breakdowns, what it results in is the difficulty increasing when it comes to your clean, which means you're spending more energy getting the log into the rack position, which is less energy left for every rep getting it from shoulder to overhead. If you look on screen right now, this is a good example of what it looks like when you row the log into your lap. You'll see what happens there is the lap position is very inefficient. The log is tipped forward. It's simply not in a position where you're going to get much out of it. Now here's what that rowing example looks like when it comes to the log. So what happens when you row the log is you turn the pick into an upper body dominant movement. This is going to functionally eliminate your legs and hips in getting it into position. And if you really look at where the log is relative to my torso here, I'm pitched forward. It's not on my thighs. So as such, when I go to clean it, I'm going to rely a lot more on low back extension rather than my legs and hips getting it onto my chest. The fix here is quite simple. Deadlift the darn thing rather than rowing it. So next up here is just what it looks like when it's kind of a folding or shallow lap position. This is a really common technique error. For lack of better words, it's just a lackadaisical approach to getting the log in position. And again, what we see with this sort of inefficient pick and lap phase here is the log is forward my center of gravity. I have to rely a lot more on low back extension to get it where I need, as well as a large degree of bicep strength rather than using my hips. Additionally, when you do your log pick, something that's really worthwhile thinking about, I actually stole this cue from Bobby Thompson, is when you pick the log, cock the handles down and slightly away from yourself. That way when you sit into the lap, you can get those elbows high, get the upper back tight, and generate more power for your clean phase. Now here's an example of an improving clean. I'm still working at mine, but what you can see here is I'm sitting with it against my body, chest high, relatively vertical. Let's play that one more time. And again, I'm not going to say this is a perfect example of a good lap phase, but it's an improving example. Because what you'll see here is the log is closer to center line, the torso remains relatively upright, and I've got full foot pressure. I have control over that log. In terms of acquiring this, it's simply focusing on a full pick and lap phase, as well as improving your ankle mobility, which is going to allow you to sit with the log against your body and retain that vertical torso that we're looking for. That in turn really leads to the big thesis of today's video, and that is discussing ankle mobility for the strongman athlete, especially in the context of the log lap phase. Because when it comes to ankle mobility, it's not enough just to have passive flexibility such as doing yoga, but what we want is stability that we can hold that position, and then once we are able to take that position, we want to get strong within that position. That way we're not faltering with the log on our lap. Ultimately, there are 4 really big things you can do as a strongman athlete to help improve your ankle mobility, and that is doing loaded calf raises with a stretch and pause at the bottom of the stretch, loosening the calves by working your tibialis anterior, lacrosse ball rolling the foot, and then also just loading the darn position so you actually have strength and stability once you're able to take that position. So this is an example of that loaded calf raise with a stretch. If anything, I could probably go to a steeper block, but you can see the idea here is we want to get a good deep stretch on that calf and hold at the bottom for a few seconds before moving into the next repetition. A little forward knee travel is A-okay on this. Think 3 rounds of 10 to 15 with a few second hold at the bottom of each rep. This is a very good starting metric. Next up is going to be tibialis work. When you work the tib, what happens there is your brain essentially tells your calf to relax, which is going to help with your ankle range of motion and help you get that lower, more vertical torso that we're after. You want to think light to moderate loading here. Sets of 12 to 20 is a really good option. If you have access to a tib bar, it comes in really handy, or you can even do these as an isometric by hooking your feet underneath something. Next up here is the lacrosse ball rolling your foot. This one's really nice. It helps with big toe and arch pressure. You're almost going to get an immediate release in the ankle. I actually find my toes tend to pop quite a bit. This just feels incredible. It's one that I do every training day during my warm-up phase. As far as the RX goes, nothing too specific. Just get some rolls in. It'll feel better. But if you want timing, say maybe 20 seconds each foot for 3 rounds. And then once you're able to take that position, what we want to do is get you strong in that position. Some movements such as paused front squats, paused zerchers, and also just hanging out in the lap phase will help you learn how to own this position within the log. And if you'll notice in the footage here, let me play it back one more time. Something I did with the log in my lap is I bobbed around a little bit, even did a few calf raises just to help myself spend more time there and even think about, okay, if I do lose my balance, if I do come out of position, having the strength to reclaim the proper position. Long and short of it is by improving your ankle mobility, not only are you going to help your log lap phase, you're going to improve your push pressing, you're going to improve your squatting, your loading, and your carrying. For a few quick fix suggestions, every training day, lacrosse ball your feet and perform a couple sets of higher rep tib raises. And if you're doing squats or log, consider doing some of those stretched calf raises with a pause at the bottom between your first few warm-up sets. This doesn't take a lot of time, but the dividends are quite big when it comes to these sort of movements. Think of it like brushing your teeth, except moving the ankles a little bit better. So that about wraps up our video today. Hopefully you found this useful. Again, this is going to be the first video in a series discussing the log clean and press. If you found this useful, make sure to like and comment. Also, I offer one-to-one coaching. It's what I do full-time. Odds are good. I'd love to work with you. But that's it for now. Hope you folks take care. Have a good one.